Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Donjo. This is their part number 481 AB VF, or according to them it's VF 481 AB. This is a door reinforcing wraparound plate, we call these. I'm going to remove it from the packaging and we'll take a closer look at first what it is and its dimensional properties. And we'll talk about where it's used. Here it is. So first of all, just to clarify what may not be obvious, all this scratched surface you see here is nothing other than the peel-away protective film covering the antique brass finish down below. The grain runs horizontal on this. That would be very typical for such a plate. If you were to order a kick plate, it would run horizontally like that as well. When it comes to a push plate, however, you're going to see that run vertically, most likely. But just be mindful. The detailed eye would pick that up. I know mine did, and notice that it was a horizontal run on that grain. I don't know if the factory can oblige a vertical grain on this. I don't see why they can't. And I would be interested to find out for you if that was an issue. Reach out to us. So this is what the 481 is. The VF just means that it's a flat front. Okay, there are not recessed preparations in the edge for the latch bolts. That would be the IW or the CW, a typical unit. This is a flat front, and we'll talk about where you would use that. The 481 is representative of this dimensionally, and before we get to that, the AB means antique brass. This is three things. That's a magnet. This is made of solid brass. This is in an antique finish, and it has a clear lacquer that's been applied over it to protect the finish. Let's go over the dimensional properties on this item, which mean 481. When it comes to Donjo wraparound plates, their part number is a direct representation of the dimensional properties of the item. If you change that part number, it's obviously a different item, but it changes dimensionally. So they'll have the same item that might be basically the same, except the back set is 2 3/4 versus 2 3/8. That part number changes. So just be mindful of that. It goes to say that the item is a different item. It has a different part number. But there is no part number that has different options other than finish, really. So you get the 481 in different finishes, but it's just a 481. Anyway, this is 9-inch tall. It is 4 1/4 wide. Maybe a little shy on that. Very importantly, this is for 1 3/4 thick doors. This features 2 holes that are both at 2 3/4 backset. The center to center of those 2 holes, I think it's 3 5/8. Yeah, indeed, 3 5/8 center to center. Very importantly, with the VF, that means this flat front, and we'll talk about what that is, why you would use it in a moment. But there, as I had said earlier, there's no preparation or mortise or recessed area to receive the latch bolts. So that covers the dimensional properties of what this item is. Let's now talk about where exactly you would use this item. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, where would you use this? Well, you have likely almost always a situation where you have some damage on a door that you are looking to mitigate that damage. The wraparound plates are used in that instance when there has been damage to a door by break-in, vandalism. You left your keys inside and you kicked the door in. That has actually happened in the past. It's been the least worst of all ways to get in. And very, very occasionally do I have someone order these in a new installation when they know there's going to be all of the above. Vandalism, break-in, someone's going to try to kick the door in because they need to get in. You wouldn't use the VF in that. You'd use the CW with the preparations, because the VF is used when you have substantial damage to the door, meaning there's literally, when you have Well, the CW can be used for this purpose as well, but the situation is you would attach the using, well, they have what they call here these speed nuts. You would attach these over your latch bolt and run the screws through the edge of the plate through the speed nut. That's going to allow you to attach that basically to the edge of the door, is what that is. The CW version, you literally screw the latch bolt with short machine screws into some insert nuts, and that will hold it to that area as well. I probably would be, depending on how much damage there was, I would probably always opt to use the CW, where I'm attaching the latch bolts to the plate itself. But in those instances, when you have depending on how much wood is left, you may use this version as well. But likely the most differentiating feature to the VF versus the CW, or what they at one time called an IW, commercial wrap or interior wrap. They don't offer the IW, they never did, although it's in a catalog. When you call Danjo and ask them what that meant, they say, I really don't know. I would imagine that it's a little thinner material. And speaking of that, I didn't give you the thickness of the material. It's probably about 45 thousandths would be my guess. The differentiating factor is likely the fact that Danjo calls the VF the original. Oh, the kit is good. 44.044. Danjo calls this style the original. Now, I can't speak about door reinforcing plates, from the 1960s. It could be that a recessed area was not the standard, so I'm guessing that that's the case, but they call it the original style. I would always prefer the CW because I can, with those short machine screws, tighten the latch bolt to the item. So if this is all broken out, I'd care, but I don't care because I've attached that to it. With this speed nut style, you still need something to kind of, you're going to run the screw through the preparation here through the speed nut that's over the end of the latch bolt, but you kind of want something for it to sink into, rather than it just be, that sheet metal type screw. That's the screw that goes through the edge into these speed nuts, and then the 4 screws to mount it. So maybe you want the flat front. Maybe you don't. Now, here's another reason why you would use the flat front. You have drive-in latch bolts. If you have drive-in latch bolts, you're probably going to want the flat front style because that won't have a faceplate. So that might be an area where you would use the VF. Now, where are you going to use this? Well, you've got a door that's got damage, and you're going to slap this on. Very rarely that new installation. The installation aspect of this is simple and straightforward in the concept. You've got to have a door, fit this over the door, and screw it on, and say goodbye. That's rarely the case with a door reinforcer. And the reason I say that is because we measured that at 0.44, okay? That's really going to take up a lot more room than 44 thousandths of an inch, which is about a 45th of an inch. 47th of an inch. 1/47th. So it's, no, I'm going the wrong way. Probably about a 25th of an inch. That's quite large for a gap between a door and a frame. That gap between the door and a frame is probably likely 1/8 of an inch, and you need every bit of 1/8 of an inch for the door to work without slapping on extra thickness of the material. So the challenge of getting this installed so that the door closes nice is where the expertise, the skill really comes in. If you've got a tight margin and you put this on the edge of the door, you're going to bind when that goes to close. I've heard of people that have planed the entire door down, taking off the extra material. I don't like that idea because now my gap's too tall, too much in above and below the plate. I like the idea of taking that door, putting it down on its side, and then routing only this area for the plate so I can sink that down and make it flush. Just like you would if you had a edge guard mortised to the edge of a architectural wood door used in a hospital setting, an L-shaped edge guard that will protect that door. Rarely do you see someone that will take the time to mortise for that, but that's how I would encourage it to be done, quite frankly. Because then your door is going to hopefully close. So once you get this, however you go about it, and expect to have to clean out the area of the door behind where the latch bolt fits, that door, if you've kicked it in, that door is exploded. One part is pulled away, and there's probably going to be lots of fragments that are preventing the door from coming down to its normal thickness. Expect to have to get in there and clean that out. What you could also consider doing is packing some wood back in there, gluing it, hardwood, gluing it back in, routing it or planing it flush to give some strength to the door. Once you get this, the door ready to receive this, and you fit this however you're going to go about fitting it, and you dry fit it so the door closes correctly, now it's time to screw it to the door. One thing I like to do is to put a couple of pony clamps on the edge of these, get the door laid flat, or open the 90 degrees. You can get the pony clamp on the door. If you are not sure what a pony clamp is, look it up. It is basically a clamp set that uses typical 3/4 or 1 inch black pipe, just typical, compressed air pipe, and allows you to clamp that down. Now, I don't know if Pony's still in business. Pony Jorgensen, they were for decades in Chicago. They went away. They may have come back. I'm not really sure. But a pony clamp would be great. Draw this in tight and then pre-drill your holes for the screws, and that's where the other screws come in. I like to drill that on ever so slight actually ever so slight on an angle, so that when my screw gets all the way down, I'm drawing it tight ever so slightly. That's probably far too pro level and too susceptible to it not going in the way you like. So once this is tight down on the edge of the door, you can pre-drill that straight and then just attach the screw. Okay, I just don't want any relief happening. I don't want this to relax and come back towards at all, because there's really nothing holding it in the edge of the door, unless, of course, you've got some wood that those screws have hit. Okay, so that's where you're going to use it. That's how you'll install it. Let's switch now to the screen view, and let's take a closer look at some supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is indeed the item that we are looking at. I have some images posted down below that we can take a look at. There it is in its packaging. The label on the end gives you the quick, important dimensions. Not all of them, but some of them. Doesn't tell you the center. Does not tell you the diameter of the hole. There it is outside of the packaging with its 2 packages of screws. Why do you have 2? Well, you've got 2 preps, and you would need 2 packages. The unit by itself, side view, end view, view from the back side, and then from the top back. It's hard to really tell anything in here, because that does have some sort of coating on the inside of it. This is definitely solid brass. Then your 2 screw packages. There's also an image here that shows it's a close-up macro type image of the finish itself. That's a pretty faithful US 5 or 609. This would be better called 609. Polished, antique brass over brass finish. Now the extended description information that is here, that is going to basically tell us the stuff we've already gone over. They call it 22 gauge. I measured it at .044. You can look up what 22 gauge is, but my caliper told me what it is. For repairing, reinforcing, or remodeling doors is what this is. Speed nuts are supplied. These guys are the speed nuts. I'll show you how they mount in a moment. Dimensional properties. Oh, that is a typo. That should be 2 1/8. By the time you're seeing this video, that will be corrected. That's a 2 1/8 over a 2 1/8. Very important to know it's 2 3/4 back set, 1 3/4 thick door. That's the size, that's the finish. Let's take a look and see what other finishes are available in the Danjo 481. Let's try that again. Okay. BP for brass plated, BZ for bronze. Well, polished brass, I should say. BZ for bronze. S for stainless. DU for dark bronze anodized. It's not listed, but they can certainly do this same item in a black anodized. They could, pardon me, a black powder coated. If I said anodized, none of this is anodized. That DU is a dark brown powder coat. They can also black powder coat it as well. 481 ABVF. Now, there is a link below this video here to the template. Let's click on that. Let's take a closer look. You can see from that document that we have all of the dimensional properties beyond what I've already mentioned. I think we've mentioned all of it. There's then also a link as well to the product catalog, which is here. Now this document's pretty handy because it will allow you to go through all things that are wrap around plate related from Danjo. So if you're not sure which one you need, I start these by looking visually and making a visual match between what I'm looking for and what I've got. So this looks just like the one we have, the 256 or 258, but it's 5.5-inch centers. So we continue our search. Okay, this one looks like what we have. 3 5/8 centers, that's what we want. We want 2 3/4 back set. We want 2 1/8 inch holes. Yep, that's it. So that's how I do it. I just look visually at this line art is the bottom line, and that allows me to find the item that's, which is what we're working with. And suffice it to say, as you go through the catalog, you'll find those other matches. The one to point out to you, the 3, would be the 3 5/8 481, the 943 with the 4-inch centers, and then the 258 with the 5.5-inch centers. So the only time that you could go wrong would be as if you have an 1.5-inch hole at the top. That's got a 4-inch center, and I think that's the only size they make with an 1.5-inch hole at the top. 4-inch centers. Very common, 4-inch centers. But there you go. Blank, should you need to make your own. I've had people order this material and have said to me, I've got an unusual lock. I'm going to cut it to fit my own requirements. People have done that plenty of times, and it seemed to have worked for them quite well. You can note there from that table the different door thicknesses and different sizes that are available there as well. Super long blank one here, that's a 20-inch length. We sell those occasionally. There are people who buy those. Now where you're going to buy that is when you want to basically turn a door that has a lock or locks into a push-pull. You can use this 20-inch long doodad reinforcer to act as a push, and then they'll surface mount a pull on one side. So that allows you to convert that whole door to that. Also, because of its height, it's a pretty strong reinforcer as well. It's a big U-channel on the edge of your door. And the rest of the document you'll be able to go through looking for other units. Suffice it to say, they also prepare these wraparound plates for lock-specific units. Okay, if you've got the discontinued Cobra series locks from Schlage, they've got those. The Pro 5196, whatever 5596, they've got those. Mark's IQ lock, code locks. The mechanical combination stuff is there. The L1000 series Simplex or Ilco or Unican or Kaba mechanical locks, those are there. Mortise locks, things of that nature. So suffice it to say, this catalog will likely have what you want. It'll provide a solution. It may be a solution that you'll have to do some work prepping your own. I've had a client who had an absolute unusual back set. It was positively odd. I don't recall what it was, but he sent me photographs, and sure enough, it was this really strange back set. It wasn't 5-inch, wasn't 7-inch, wasn't 3 3/4, wasn't 2 3/4, wasn't 2 3/8, wasn't 2-inch, wasn't 1 3/4. It was strange, but he bought the blank one and made it work. Now, there's a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page. From there, you can pull up not only all of the Danjo products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website here, as well as a link to the full product catalog, and that full product catalog is broken down into these subsections. And as we look at these subsections, from the left you see accessory hardware, bolts and latches, door pivots, protection plates, kick plates, stretcher plates, armor plates, mop plates, push and pull hardware, hinges. If you know that name, Danjo, you do for latch protectors or wraparound plates, but they make all these other items, and strike plates are right there as well. They have a comprehensive offering of custom strike plates. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. In conclusion, Danjo does a really good job with these door reinforcing wraparound plates. They're not the only company who makes these. There are others, but they do have by far the most comprehensive offering of this material. And I can't think of a company who has something that Danjo does not have. So quality, value, prompt, reliable, predictable shipping lead times, availability of a diverse product line, good quality company supported by people there who know the job. They're experts in their field, etc. Okay. If you have any questions on the Danjo 481 in a US 5 or AB, in a VF, or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.